And we are live. Hey guys, welcome to the Superherocuts podcast where we talk about things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boy Stevie Hayes, per usual, joined by my co-host Comic Cuts. How you doing, my brother?
I'm
What's going
doing
on?
well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing terrible, man, because these DC fans got me pissed off.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into that. Just want to say before you do anything, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you know when we post. We're posting every day, at per usual. So we're always here. Okay, so we're going to talk about two things that piss me off. One with the Spider Verse crap that we're going to address, and we're going to talk about the Flash first. Okay. So we're going to do a little Flash spoiler review because obviously we saw it like almost a month in advance. So now we can finally talk about how good this movie was. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me just say this, man. Ezra Miller was amazing as the Flash. The Speed Force in this movie was perfect. It was better than what the Flash TV show ever did. Okay, it was freaking terrifying seeing the Speed Force. It actually was kind of weird seeing it happen. I think that Sasha Cal as Supergirl was amazing. I think Zod was amazing. I think almost every part of this film was amazing. Were there parts that were kind of weird? Yeah, but I mean, all in all, this was a pretty good movie. I don't like. I don't really think there's a lot of weaknesses in the film. But I love the idea. I love the way that the Speed Force was portrayed in the Flash movie. That was actually one of my highlights of the film. Just seeing how that all went together, and the fact that they didn't use the Reverse Flash as the villain, and the villain was really just Barry, to me was even better. Um. So yeah.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Reverse Flash in this. Actually, I can't even say that because the truth is that going into this movie, I was never really a big Flash guy. I didn't watch that much of it on the CW, and this movie like sold me on Flash as a character, and I think that speaks to. Listen, I read a lot of comics, and for a movie to get me to want to like this movie was so great because it made me want to learn more about the Flash. So I started reading Flash comics after the first go around, and they've been great. I've been watching the Flash show. I'm like, give me more of the Flash. That was awesome. And I don't think it would have had that effect if it were the Reverse Flash. But after diving further into the Flash as a character and in his mythos, Reverse Flash, like if I had to pick a villain for the next one, I would love to see Reverse Flash. Um, you know, uh, Listen, this movie it took a lot of risks, and I know I said that on our non-spoiler review, and what I meant about that, like having the main character play against a parallel version of himself where they're so contrasted, and like that's never been done before. And I know some people, probably the same camp as Mr. Freeze is the villain, and the same people who said not to recast uh, T'Challa are also going to say, well, we saw No Way Home, we've seen the Spider Verse, so like, yeah, we have. No, you never seen the main actor, play two different versions of himself as himself. That was crazy, and it's never been done. Obviously, the theme of the movie was very similar to No Way Home, and like you can't mess with time. There's certain things you can't undo, and as a hero, there are things that you're going to have to give up, and it's not going to be easy. And I think that Barry Allen learned a very similar lesson as Peter Parker did in No Way Home. And it's pretty crazy that we're experiencing this as a fandom. The multiverse has become the hottest topic in the game, bar none, in the comics, in the movies, in the TV shows. It's everywhere. And I think The Flash is one of the best entries into the multiverse trend. And it's crazy that we live in a time that the DC, I think, has a better multiversal movie than the MCU. I think this movie was better than No Way Home. And I know a lot of people are going to complain about me saying that as well, but I also think we've reached a breaking point with No Way Home. I think we've reached a breaking point because I've said this before. Listen, I love No Way Home. It's a fun movie. I love going back to it. But the truth is, and I love The Dark Knight too, and The Dark Knight suffers from this as well. There are kind of like cheap gimmicks that a lot of people overrate a movie on. And yes, it fit into No Way Home with the cameos, but the truth is that a lot of people, I think, overrate No Way Home because of the cameos. You know, people were so excited to see Toby and Andrew. I get it. I was too. But the truth is that made people overhype the movie. I think Dark Knight, Heath Ledger dying, made people overrate Heath Ledger. And, you know, I think we're at a time where people are starting to move away from the awe that was the after effect of No Way Home. People are revisiting it. They're like, okay, listen, it's a great movie. I don't know if it's as good as I originally said. I think The Flash is going to stand the test of time. I think people are going to watch this movie and they're going to, you know, 2-3 years down the line from now, they're going to be like, yeah, that shit was really hard, man. That was a really good movie. Andy Muschietti took big risks. Ezra Miller delivered on The Flash. And, you know, obviously we have to talk about the fact that most fans, not most fans, but it would seem most people on Twitter are hating on this movie unfairly. And you know what? I don't think they've seen the movie. I don't buy it. You know why I don't buy it? Like I said last week, DC fans on Twitter have big mouths and small wallets. And if all the people that are saying The Flash was a shitty movie saw The Flash would have done 100 mil, not 55.
I agree. And as I said, man, it's funny because a lot of people want to you know, be Andrew Garfield Avengers and stand for TASM. But let's not remember that when TASM 2 came out, we all hated it. Everyone hated the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Everyone hated Spider-Man 3. But now all of a sudden everyone wants to cape for TASM 2 when people use this is the best, one of the greatest Spider-Man movies of all time. When it first came out, no one liked TASM. And it's going to be hilarious when this movie is released digitally and when these idiots can sit down and actually watch the movie from a practical standpoint and not from any other narrative of Zack Snyder or whatever. They're going to be like, yo, this movie is amazing. And we're going to be laughing 2-3 years from now when it's freaking talked about. But
you won't be able to find them. You won't be able to find them.
I agree.
The same way you can't find the people that hated on Robert Pattinson being casted as Batman. You can't find those people today.
Exactly, man. And with DC, it's a common denominator because and this is why I respect Star Wars fans more than any other fandom, because even though the people hated Star Wars, the freaking sequel trilogy, everyone that trashed on it at least watched it. They at least went to go see the movie. And as a comic book fan, right, I feel that, like, as a fan of comic book movies and comic books and you know, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, all that, I feel like I'm going against my fandom when I don't go and support those films. And this is all I'm saying, right? If you want to trash the Flash, like, cool, like I will debate you, whatever. But at least watch the freaking movie, bro. Like a lot of people have a lot of comments about the Flash and haven't seen the movie. And, like, for example, Venture, right? Venture thinks that the Flash is mid. I have no problem with him thinking that. But you know why? Because bro saw the movie. You know what I mean? So that's just where, like, my show is. I can't stand when people give opinions, but they haven't experienced it. If the Flash isn't your cup of tea, that's totally fine. Now I think that the Flash handled the multiverse in a very simple way. I think it was more understandable than Multiverse of Madness. And people love talking about No Way Home, bro. We don't even know how Spider-Man and them got there. It was just mad random, you know, the way that happened. It wasn't even explained. Like with the Flash, the multiverse was explained in a very simple way. I think a lot of people, I think where a lot of people's problems stem from is the VFX issues, and Andy lied. Like, I think it's cap when he said that we are supposed to view them that way. I think that was just an excuse, because I think that Warner Bros. Just left off of the film after all of the Ezra stuff. That's what I think happened. They just stopped caring, and they just released it the way it is. But yeah, I don't like most of the critiques that I've heard after yeah, Supergirl was awesome, and I hope that we see her in the DCU. But most of the critiques that I heard of the Flash has come from the VFX and those type of things, not really the actual plot of the movie, because the movie's not bad. Like,
yeah, and
it's more people's opinions. Hey, Venture, I'm about to drop the link, bro. So if you have time, bro, you can hop in and talk to us if you want.
so I hope Venture does join us, because and I know I'm going to get criticized for this also, but I find it hard to believe that you watched this movie and didn't like it. You honestly did not like the movie. I think it was a really good movie. I don't think it was like anything, so abstract. Like I think this was a movie that was for, if you are signed up to see any kind of superhero movie, like, you should have enjoyed this movie. And I don't like that there's a lot of fans that there's some guy on Twitter, his name's Unbiased Snyder Fan, and it's like so ironic. Like, dude,
yeah,
there's no such thing as a Snyder fan these days that isn't biased. And I'm a Snyder fan, but I'm not part of that crowd that's like hoping a movie's bad because it wasn't good. And by the way, you know what the best part about these Snyder fans are? So my boy, the cultured nerd, shared something. He shared that James Gunn and Peter Safran were actually working to bring Zack Snyder back to DC. This is fact. After Zack Snyder's contract with Netflix was termed, meaning ended, over. He obviously has to finish his contract. So they wanted to do right by the fans. They saw there's a lot of fans that really like Zack Snyder's movies. I'm one of them. I get it. But what happened was DC and WB saw the way these fans treated James Gunn. Fire James Gunn. Every day. Go on Twitter today, search Fire James Gunn. They're still saying it. They're like, why the hell are we going to reward these fans? We could have a successful DCU, and no disrespect to Zack Snyder, I'm sure they like Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's a great guy. He's a respectful guy. I'm sure James Gunn and Zack Snyder talk, get along, probably have dinner from time to time, but they're like, we don't want this negative backlash every time we put out a movie. And if we bring Zack Snyder, hold on. And if we bring Zack Snyder back, all we're doing is inviting this negativity back into every time we make a movie. We make Flash, they're going wild on Twitter. We make Green Lantern, we're going wild on Twitter. So they just want to move as far away from Zack Snyder as they possibly can, because they see moving away from Zack Snyder, moving away from this negative, toxic fan base. And I hate using that word toxic because it's become so corny, but there's no other word for it.
Yeah, and if the box office wasn't affected, that wouldn't be the problem. And like, honestly, I mean, if we're to be real, this movie really means nothing in the grand scheme, because the DCU don't start until Superman, legacy. But I just feel like the Pattinson effect is going to happen again, where people hated Pattinson. And then when he came out, everybody was on that side, because I really do and firmly believe that James Gunn's DCU is going to surpass Marvel in so many ways. Like, I really think that a lot of people are going to be really surprised when they see how good Superman Legacy is. And also, Venture, my brother, I agree. I think that the movie is really good. I think that the story was well done. Now, I have seen the movie like 4 to 5 times, so I have seen some lackings in the story, but I think that the pacing was very well done in the Flash movie. And to me, that the movie goes by kind of fast, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, bro. So yeah, man, I do think that this is going to be viewed like TASM. As I said, all the fans hated TASM when it first came out, including me. I still don't like TASM 2. TASM 2 was hated to the gills, and yet, it's just funny how after No Way Home, when Andrew Garfield gets redeemed in this movie, everybody goes back into TASM. So that's how I feel about it, man. Let the hate happen. It happens. But to me, these movies don't matter because we're gonna have to eat more trash because you know why? Blue Beetle's coming out, which should be all right, but it's not going to make any money in theaters. And then,
By the way, sorry, I keep doing that.
What's up? What's up? Go ahead.
Oh, so I was going to say, I wanted to address these three things before we move off the Flash.
Yo. Hold on. And then Aquaman 2, it's still bad. Aquaman 2 is apparently really bad. So we're gonna have to eat some more trash before we go. Hey, Comicus, let's respond to Venture before you get into that. He says to keep it a buck, Ezra is just not for me. And bro, I respect that. And I will be 100% honest. And Comicus and I said this last episode. If they're done with Ezra after this, we're totally fine with that because you could find a better actor to play Barry Allen. We have both agreed on that. But the issue is that a lot of people aren't even giving this movie a chance. And that's where I have a problem with fandom. Like Comicus knows I'm not the biggest Ezra fan. Like I'm not videos, we have never been Ezra Miller Flash fans. We just like him in this movie. We think that Andy Muschietti is the reason why this movie was good, not Ezra Miller. And I think that has a lot, to say about the film itself. Go ahead,
so Paul. I also think, listen, if you're not seeing this movie over Ezra Miller, like I get that. I totally get that. I almost didn't, but I can't not see a movie. Anyway, so I get that. But I think also, and like people are going as far as like taking some really cheap shots at this movie. Number one, with babies, like, oh my god, the babies were falling and the babies didn't. Some people are saying the babies didn't look realistic. Would you prefer if they dropped actual babies from a building? Like, would that made you happier? So number two, and like, oh, there was a baby in a microwave. Like, dude, it's a superhero movie and he saved the babies. Like, get over it. It was a great opening scene. That was one of the best comic book opening scenes like of all time.
Yeah, and we're literally watching the Justice League. Like, you're literally watching the Justice League in the opening scene of the movie. I mean, I thought it was super dope.
Also, the Chris Reeves cameo, people said that was disrespectful. I would like someone to explain to me how that was disrespectful.
But they also said that the other guy, because he killed himself. I forget his name, George Reeves, because he didn't get any jobs after Superman, and so they were saying like DC was being disrespectful for putting him in the film.
It might have been Chris Reeves, but everyone who was in the movie, I'm pretty sure they like actually had their permission. Like, I know they had Chris Reeves' estate's permission to put him in the movie. And listen, it's awesome to have your own cameo in a movie, and people want that.
Yeah,
all
Nicolas
these actors
Cage was
want
awesome,
that.
by the way.
Like,
awesome
so you're saying it's disrespectful, but the actors are saying it's a privilege. So like,
exactly.
Stop trying to stick up your ass any further and pull it out.
Exactly. All right, so hold on. Daniel's hot topics, dude. The movie was awesome, but I'm afraid since it's bombing at box office, it won't get a sequel. Daniel, I will be completely honest, bro. I don't think this movie needs a sequel. Like, I think it's fine to end here because James Gunn is building something new. And honestly, bro, like, that is why the ending was changed, because it was originally going to be Michael Keaton and Supergirl in the courthouse scene, and that scene was going to lead to the Batgirl movie. But since the Batgirl movie got scrapped, obviously they changed the ending. So I honestly am fine with it just ending here. They like the movie's out. This movie and Aquaman are going to close out the original DC EU. I have no problem with that. I like. Even if this movie was that good, I mean, I really don't want Ezra as my future.
Yeah. And the other thing on that ending was, I think that's why they used George Clooney.
Yeah, it was a troll to say, like, you're not going to see him again. Like,
obviously, George Clooney is not the DCU Batman, and that was their way of saying, like, this is over, it's a wrap, get ready for the DCU. And they want to say goodbye to all of the haters. So, all you guys online keep complaining about DC.
They're trying to make changes. They're trying to make changes. And like fans like you guys have to understand, right? they scrapped the Batgirl, which I think was a stupid idea. I think they could have made little capital on it, at least put it on
You know what
Max
they
or
should have?
something. But I will say this, guys. You got to understand, these people put millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into these movies. They have to try to make a profit, so they're going to put these movies out. I think it's stupid to even make a Blue Beetle movie, but these movies have to be put out. And the reality is this, guys: we got to eat this trash before we get to the good stuff, man. It's the same thing with Marvel. Like, Marvel right now is in a garbage state. I mean, and we're going to talk about this later on in the episode, so I don't want to get in to a tangent. But prime example, no one's talking about Secret Invasion. Like, no one is, so like, it's weird. But
Yeah.
we got to eat the trash till we get to the good stuff, and that's the sad reality about this whole DC thing. So what's going to happen is, for the rest of the year, we are just going to be hearing a bunch of DC is trash, DC is trash, DC is trash, until we get a trailer with Robert Pattinson's Batman and we get a Superman Legacy trailer. That's when DC is like going to be back on the rise. So you guys just prepare yourselves, man. It is going to be a hard year.
They should have taken all the DC fans who are complaining on Twitter and threw them off the building, and then they would have used real babies. I'm kidding.
Dude, but it's just like and this is where I be thinking, like, did these people watch like James Gunn's announcement and then understand like what's happening? Like, these movies have to come out. Daniel's Hot Topic said, worst case scenario, they would do a hard reboot, meaning they will throw out everything, meaning the multiverse will disappear. It doesn't exist anymore. So I do think that the multiverse is going to exist, mostly because of the fact that by the way, Jalen, what's up, homie?
Yeah, it was good.
I'm pretty sure the multiverse is going to exist because they're making the Batman Elseworlds, and I do believe that they're eventually going to try to have Batman like appear in some DCU content. But yeah, Venture, what's up, homie?
Yo, what's good, bro? How
What's
y'all
good,
doing?
bro? Good. How are you?
What up?
What is your review / reaction to The Flash?
Yeah. Let's see. I think my official rating, I've only seen it once, so I think my official rating right now would be like a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So here's my thing. I'll start with the positives, because there are definitely positives. Like, I'm not going to completely trash the movie because it wasn't like, so I think my positives, like I said, for one, the storyline was definitely really good. I'm a huge Flash fan, so it's like the Flashpoint storyline is definitely something that's always going to be fun. I think regardless of who the actor is. So I thought the story was fun. I thought Keaton was a huge highlight of that movie as well. Like, his action scenes, man, like those were dope. Those are definitely awesome. That was a lot of fun. I think Supergirl was another one, like I said, that was awesome as well. Like, I wasn't really sure how I would feel like in terms of her, being the actress for Supergirl and just like the persona they were trying to do with her, but I thought they pulled it off really well. So I think those things were really good about the movie. Now, so negatives. So I'm not gonna say the obvious, like the CGI, that all that crap, like that's the obvious, right? So I think my thing again was just with Ezra Miller, like he didn't sell me. He doesn't sell me as the Flash. Like I said, the biggest freaking pet peeve I have with this dude is his running. Like, Lord Jesus, oh my God, I can't with it. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I don't know how to explain it, but it's so bad.
Like his form.
Fair.
Yes.
It's fair.
His form is
he's
terrible.
like, it's like clowny. He's like flailing his arms and legs.
They even roasted it after he lost his powers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that specifically, that scene had me cringing so bad. Like, that was the most cringe I felt that entire movie, is where he lost his powers. I'm like y'all realize how stupid this looks, right? And like, that was dumb.
Grant Gustin has the best Flash run. His Flash run is fire, bro.
That's what I'm saying. God. I really wish that he would take on the role of the Flash in movies. So
no.
That's a whole separate conversation.
CW quality is not movie quality.
I mean, I agree. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
But
the other thing is like, after watching it the first time and then reading Flashpoint and understanding the gravity of the scene when Barry was in the chair in the Bat Cave and was like, do it again. That went so hard. That was my favorite scene throughout the entire movie.
I disagree. I disagree in the sense that I feel like, again, but this is because I don't really mess with Ezra Miller and his acting as a whole, so I guess that's why I didn't mess with it. But literally, like yesterday, I went back and I watched Justice League, like the Flashpoint Paradox. Now, when you watch that and you see that scene, pretty much the same bar for bar scene from across comics, across the animation and the movie, same scene. Like, I felt like that went hard and that was way more impactful. I just, like I said, I wasn't sold by Ezra. That's all. So I can see what you're saying though.
Yeah, that makes sense, bro. I think that Ezra. I think that Ezra is a really. I don't think he's a good actor, but I do think that Ezra did a good job in this film. And I really like the dynamic between him and his what is it, his variant? I guess
his variant.
By the way,
I thought it was funny. Go ahead, bro.
Remember when the Oscars, I think it was 2021, the year of Zack Snyder's Justice League's HBO Max release.
Yeah.
Remember? So what's funny is going back to the Twitterverse, but the Oscars started this new thing. I'm pretty sure it was the first time that year. They called it the cheer moment, which I think is such a bad name. I hate the word cheer, but I hate the Oscars altogether. So anyway, but they had this cheer moment, and it was like a new award, and everyone had the opportunity to vote online. So it wasn't the Academy doing the voting, and Ezra Miller's Speed Force scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League won that Oscars cheer voting from internet voting. Mm-hmm. And I find it crazy listen, Adventure obviously is like a real fan, so went and saw the movie, has like real criticisms of it, still gave it a fair score. So obviously there was still a good amount of the movie he did enjoy. But I find it funny that only 2 years ago, the last time we saw Ezra Miller's Barry Allen Flash, he was voted into an Oscar award, and now everyone online is claiming they didn't like the movie.
I've been hating on the Flash since the beginning. I hate it all, but I hate it all.
Yeah,
Venture knows that too. Like me and Venture used to trash Ezra, and I still think that Ezra is a terrible Flash. There's no other way behind that. I just think that Andy pointed him in the right direction. I think that's why the movie was so good, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. I think my other issue, the ending, it didn't do much for me either, because like you get to the point where it's like, all right, now Dark Flash is popping up on the scene. I'm like, all right, bet it's about to be dope. We're gonna have this huge fight and it's gonna go down. But it's like almost nothing happened. You have like the Dark Flash in the movie for about like a minute until he did.
He was like an Easter egg. It was crazy.
That really blew me, because I'm like, all right, we've been building up to this the entire movie. Whereas like you start out with him pushing Barry out of the Speed Force, then you come back, Barry has a dream about him and he flashes up in the dream. That was crazy, by the way. That was a dope scene. That was cool. And then now you finally get to the point where it's like, all right, we realize who Dark Flash is. It's the variant, and him going back in time to try to stop things and continuing to pile up all this Kryptonian armor. I'm like, this is about to be a dope fight. But it's like nothing happened, and they did not deliver on that. So that, again, that's where it's like, man, the movie was just like okay to me, because like we're building up to this whole moment in the movie just for it to fall flat. So yeah, that's my thought.
Let me ask you something else. So obviously you mentioned Grant Gustin, but if you had to pick an actor who is like a movie actor to be Flash for the DCU, do you know who you would pick? And if so, who?
Nah, I don't necessarily know who I pick. Again, I say Grant because, like, as terrible as the Flash got, like that show got awful, like god awful. But
worse than Arrow fell off, because I'm watching it now.
Oh yeah, Arrow's fall off was kind of graceful, but
it wasn't as
Flash
bad.
Fall off was worse. Yeah,
the Flash was.
When did it get bad?
It got bad by like what, season 5, I think.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Whenever what's his name came on as the showrunner, Eric Wallace destroyed that show, like absolutely crashed it. So
Arrow gets bad like season 5 after season 6.
Season 5 was high. I thought.
But it gets good again.
I'm sorry. When Arrow goes to jail, that's when I look.
That's when it was like slower. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but and then it gets fire in the end. But
Season 5 was definitely that was my favorite season of the Arrow. That was a great season.
But
I forget. It was so long ago.
Arrow, and peak Flash was some of the greatest DC content I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like season 1 of the Flash, bro, unmatched. Like season 1 with the Flash were dope. Those are great.
I agree.
I'm at the end of season 2 right now. I'm loving it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like I
think it's even better.
It's with me, Grant. It's like he does a great job as the Flash, but he plays a great Barry Allen as well. Like he embodies what Barry Allen is, and that's just for me. Again, Ezra Miller doesn't really do that for me. Whereas like I don't see him as Barry. Like realistically, I can't see it. I guess as a Flash, like he's okay, but again, I just feel like Grant Gustin nailed it to a T. Like regardless of how bad that show got, how bad the writing got, it's like he did his best, and his acting was just phenomenal. So.
I agree.
Right. By the way, and I'm sure Stevie's got stuff on the docket, but I don't think we showed this comment, and I just want to touch on it real quick. By the way, so Daniel,
I commented on that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But hey, go ahead though.
I was going to say, the reboot is the best thing that could happen. Every character to be brought in new, fresh, under someone like James Gunn is a godsend. James Gunn is going to go down as one of the all-time greats, as great as Kevin Feige, if not even better. This is a guy that reads comics, that loves them. He has the experience under Marvel with multiple successful projects. He has the experience under Warner Brothers, so he knows what it's like working there. And he's only going to put people. He's only going to hire people as directors, producers, actors that care about the integrity and canon accuracy to these characters and stories. And I can't stress it enough. I think we're in for something really special with the DCU. And unless anyone has anything else to say, I think we can move on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Because let's be honest, DC has a bajillion more stories than Marvel does that are way better, surpass the stories that Marvel tells. And so it's like, if James Gunn can really, bring that all together, because he could do this for years and years and years. So I do think that it could be something special if done right. But I will say though one thing, as I hope they keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. That I do hope they keep.
I actually agree with that. I love Gal Gadot. I think the criticisms of her are like entirely unfair, and it's kind of out of left field. But whatever. The other thing, by the way, I think that people don't think about is like DC's characters are much more traditional in the sense of the world of superheroes. More of them wear capes. Most of them have secret identities. Like when you look at, just take Avengers 1, like none of those characters have a secret identity. Only one of them wears a cape. So Marvel and DC are very different for as similar as they are but like they're very different. And, I just think that a lot of people don't even realize what's coming. I think people are like, oh, well, James Gunn's just going to look at what Marvel did and copy and paste. Like, that's the whole point. That's exactly what he's not doing. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I think it's going to be something special.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
What's up? While you and Brendan are here, I wanted to talk Spider-Verse. So get your comment off, and then we can talk. Because there's a few things that I need to address and ask you guys to hear your point of view.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say, if we're talking differences too, like just the tone in movies is way different too. It's like DC is gonna be darker than Marvel, like 9 times out of 10, right? So it's like with the Flash, I felt like there was a lot of like comedic needs. Like they were trying to be comedic, just like I felt like a lot of the comedy that was trying to be implemented into the movie, I wasn't feeling it, which was also a downside to me. I feel like it should have like kind of dark, because it's a dark story, so I just
I thought
say that again,
landed for me, but
I heard you lag a little bit.
Oh no, I was just saying like the comedy just that was like one of the things I didn't like about the movie either.
What in the Flash?
Yeah, in the Flash, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you didn't like the comedy. Okay.
Yeah. Just, it didn't stick. It didn't stick. I felt like there didn't need to be much comedy because it's a story. Wasn't much.
I thought it was cool how it balanced the comedy and the seriousness of the movie. Like I was like laughing at one point, then I was getting teary eyed for Barry and his mother. Like
Yeah, that mom scene.
Oh yeah, that broke me.
Yeah.
Bro. That broke me.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree. Okay, so I want to hit this Spider-Verse stuff. Darren, I just sent Darren the link too because he's the one that sent this BS to me earlier. So I wanted to talk about this because I know we have the Craven trailer on the docket, but I really wanted to talk about this and hear you guys' opinion. So Darren sent a message. Earlier. So I'm in the superhero group chat with like a bunch of my hometown friends, Jerry and Venture. I gotta add you guys that chat. It began lit. Brendan's in it too. But the one thing, so. One of our friends, Angel, said that the Craven trailer was fire, and he obviously got cooked in the freaking group chat because the trailer looks terrible.
Okay, I'm the only one that thought that. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Literally, no one's. And Jerry, and Comic Cuts thinks that the trailer's good, and I'm like, dude, bro, a lion's blood drips into him, and now he can talk to animals, bro. Like, what is this?
Had the accent that threw me too.
Yes,
like, accent, but he didn't. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I'm like, is this like Jungle Aquaman? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, Brendan, Brendan, I know you said you don't trust Sony, with anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what Darren said was, he said like, look, guys, Spider-Verse is working. Oh, here he is. All right. So he can state his case here. All right. Now that Darren's here, bro. All right, Darren, can you kind of explain what you said in the freaking group chat earlier about how Sony should just go all in with the animated stuff and how live action is just kind of like dying?
Live action is dying because there's only so much you can do with live action unless you want to dump millions and millions and millions of dollars into CGI.
That's one of the craziest takes I've ever heard.
Agreed.
Yeah. You are out of your mind. There has been two epic animated movies that people ever rank in their top superhero movies, and everything else has been live action, and you're gonna say live action is dead? Are you out of your mind?
No, because you haven't. Nobody's been able to really tap into the potential of animated.
You know what?
Somebody who studied animation for a solid year and a half. I think there's some seriously crazy things that you can do that have not been done yet, and that have not been discovered yet. However, when it comes to live action, it's just CGI. Everything is just CGI. There's nothing actually live action being done anymore.
The Batman was all live action.
Yeah.
That's great. You can continue to do live action stuff as much as you want to, but it's going to be same old every single time.
No,
I remember the last time you were on here, and I loved everything you said. And when Stevie said you were coming on just now, I'm like, oh, he's gonna have some dope shit to say. And then you come on here with this.
Yeah, that was the wildest thing I heard in my life. So wait, so you don't want Miles to come in live action, bro?
No, they're just gonna ruin the character. Point blank period. Like we've had what the video games, and then now this animated series. So you have two iterations of Miles that people are already incredibly attached to, and now you want to introduce a third that is likely to be different.
And so this is something that I actually have a video about that I was going to post, and the video basically talks about how the Spider-Verse has ruined Miles Morales for live action. I do think they should do a live action Miles, and they will because it's going to be profitable, but I do think that a lot of people have very high expectations with this Miles Morales that we have seen in the PS5 Spider-Man and in the Spider-Verse. And I do not believe that either of those Miles that we saw can be copied into a live action. I think it's darn near impossible to try to make a carbon copy of those Miles Morales that we saw. And I do think that Miles Morales is going to get hated at least for a while. Because of that.
You know who they need? They need a creative like Virgil Abloh to bring Miles Morales and his style and all the sauce that they have in the Spider-Verse movies into live action. I don't disagree that they've set a high bar And I think, listen, I hate musicals. I'll never watch them, but I do listen to some movie podcasts, and it seems that most of these Disney live action remakes, it seems to be the common consensus every time they put one out is it doesn't really compare to the original. And that's animation is obviously very outdated compared to the Spider-Verse movies. But I do think that they are going to bring Miles Morales into live action. Obviously, they already said it. I think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to be different. I think they know they have a big task on their hands. And I don't think also, dude, think about it this way. You think they can't do something like No Way Home, but push the throttle even further and have, Peter Parker bring Miles Morales into from the multiverse or some crazy story like that? They're going to do some real crazy stuff. And here's the thing. I don't think the people making these movies aren't having the conversations that we're having right now. And I think those people are very talented. They're very creative. They're very smart. There's a lot of money involved in it, and I think they're going to make it happen.
Yeah, let me chime in here real quick too.
Hey, go ahead, bro.
Back to his original point where he's thinking oh, you could do so much more with animation than live action. This is true. You can do a lot more with animation, just because of the nature of it. My thing is, and the biggest issue I think that comes with making live actions and I guess transferring those is storytelling. You have to have good storytelling, and I think that's generally the biggest issue with these live action films is that they fail to miss the mark, or they miss the mark on storytelling, right? And they focus on the wrong things. So yes, I agree that you could do so much more with animation, but I feel like as long as you have the strong foundational story, I guess right casting as well, it's live action still. I don't see it dying, so I disagree with your point there.
I have to go back and disagree on that too, because I think if you look at a lot of the most recent live action superhero movies, a lot of them have really good premises, and I feel like a big reason why they fall apart is because of production.
Give me an example.
Yeah, name them.
For example, for No Way Home had a lot of really good concepts, but because it was during COVID. Had to separate a whole bunch of different people. You have a lot of shots where people aren't even in the same frame. So there's a limitation there as far as production. The Flash had a whole production fiasco with the different, everything going on with Ezra Miller and stuff like that. Not only that, but have you seen the freaking CGI on that thing? You mean to tell me there wasn't a production mishap going on in there?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
What else was there? What other superhero movie came out recently? A bunch of other rewrites as
Guardians.
well. Tiger Strike.
Guardians
is a darn near perfect film.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. So here's the thing. Obviously, when you're making a live action movie, everyone needs to be together in person. And you would know more about this, which is why I'm excited to ask you. In animation, could it all really be done for people working remotely from home? I mean, don't they need access to higher tech computers that probably aren't laptops and probably at their office? Or, I'm sure you can take a computer to our home. I'm sure there's a lot of technology that it's not so simple to work from home, work remote. And I'm sure it's easier when you have directors and other people in the room that you're spitballing. I mean, I work in financial services industry, and I, am free to work from home as much as I want, but I prefer to be in the office to be collaborating, spitballing with, with my peers and collaborators.
No, the technology is definitely there. It's 1000% there. Not even just in the space of movies, but video games as well. A lot of video games are going to the direction of having storytelling, and there are so many voice actors out there. There are a lot of voice actors that are very, very talented, and they don't have roles. They don't have things they don't have they don't have jobs.
Right. I have noticed that in video games they keep using the same guys. It's always seemed odd to me. I'm sure there's a ton out there that are very talented that could use roles, but they keep using the same people, and that always felt weird.
Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that the issue is a matter of the live action casting or whatever. Like, I mean, because like when you think of the masterpieces that we were gifted with, and for the first 11 years of the MCU, I think the bottom barrel issue is that the stories suck balls.
Yep.
And if like prime example, right? We get the Batman, which is a really good story, really good. Well, I think it is very long as I've been watching it more and more, but a very talented lead actor, very talented supporting actors, a really great tone and story. The movie and the movie does well, and fans in the general sense mostly like it. There's no drama, there's no VFX issues. It's a very simple movie, but does well. And I think that is the issue. So James Gunn, Darren had an interview with, he was on who was that guy?
Michael Rosenbaum. He played Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Exactly. So he was on his podcast, and the one thing that James Gunn said is that he said superhero fatigue is not the issue. He said the issue is that a lot of these directors and writers, they walk into these rooms and they treat superhero content like it's they're making their own lore, like they're making their own movie. They're not following by the Bible, which is, for them, the comics. And he also said a lot of these like directors and writers aren't doing research on the characters, and they also are focusing on crazy action beats and crazy power things, but they're not focusing on the actual plot of the film. And that is why, I believe like a lot of these projects have been falling off. And then when we get Spider-Verse, where the animation is top tier, and I ain't gonna lie, I think the animation for the Spider-Verse is super overrated. I think I to me it is low key mid, but that's a topic for another day.
That's not gonna lie.
I also do want to remind you that majority of the lines recorded for Spider-Verse, both movies, were the actors individually acting. Not a lot of the times that they have the other actors in the room to act with them. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually great insight and crazy to hear.
Exactly.
When you really think about that, that's a lot more difficult.
Oh yeah, but as I said, I do think that if there was no lack of like treating the stories in Marvel and DC and Star Wars with tender loving care, we wouldn't be having this convo at the moment. Just saying, because when Marvel was at its peak, we never said this ever. No. We only started having these combos after, we started getting trash content for the past 5 years. How many years has it been now since Endgame?
2019.
Yes, since 2019.
So it's like
almost 5 years, almost 4 years.
You know what else is interesting? Listen, like I said, I think animation taking over from live action is crazy. I don't think that will ever happen, but I will say, I think it was Anthony Mackie, and I know that one or two Marvel actors agreed with him, and he was kind of saying how he feels like the death of the movie star. Like, back in the day, people were going to see an Al Pacino movie, a Robert De Niro movie, maybe even a Johnny Depp movie. And sometime after 2010, that kind of stopped being the case. And I think it's interesting now because you don't go to the movie and think, like, even with Oppenheimer, I'm not going to see a Cillian Murphy movie. I'm going to see a Christopher Nolan movie. Who's the director? He's not an actor. So, I think that argument could be used for Darren's point, even though I don't agree with Darren's point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we've hit a part on the Spider-Verse. Darren, I need you to just give me another thing, because you made a really good point in our group chat earlier. So we're going to talk about the Kraven trailer for a moment. Darren, can you talk about your whole anti-hero thing, about how you hate how they're? Yeah. Can you just go into that?
I'm sorry. I'm also eating my dinner as well.
I'm sorry, bro.
I'm good.
First thing first, I wanted to point out, I've been thinking about it. It's kind of crazy that Venom Carnage was not rated R, but this is rated R, which makes no sense.
I agree.
Yeah, my whole thing about anti-heroes is that I know that like there's this big trend that like, oh, not everything is so black and white. But I think some things do have to be black and white. right? Some villains have to legitimately be villainous. Not every villain has to have a super deep backstory about how they're saving the world in their own way. Like that was great with Thanos and stuff like that. But I mean, look what Guardians 3 did, right? They have a villain that is 1000% unredeemable. But did anybody hate him? No, not whatsoever. I think that only does well with villains who legitimately have that type of background. It was a bit of a stretch with Venom. He does kind of have an anti-hero saga after his whole deal with Peter Parker, not necessarily before that. But Kraven never has an anti-hero arc. If anything, he's the one who pushes Spider-Man to his darkest points, i.e. Kraven's last hunt, right? So it's just like, to make him an anti-hero and also take away the whole Russian accent thing, that's to me, that's not Kraven.
I actually would challenge that. I don't know if you read. I think it was I don't know what it was called. I'm blanking on the name. Oh, Hunted. So in recent, and I forget the specifics of it. It was great though. It's a recent Nick Spencer comic event within his very long Spider-Man run. Amazing Spider-Man. I highly recommend that run, by the way. But towards the end of the whole thing, which he did, which was a very villainous, he basically locked Spider-Man and a bunch of other people in Central Park in Manhattan. It was crazy, but he kind of in a way understood Spider-Man a little more and was you're all right, and he kind of had respect for him at the end. And I think that in The Last Hunt, which is epic, yes, he was a villain in that, but I think in the more recent comics, he kind of has a bit more of an anti-hero side. But if you're just going off The Last Hunt, which is obviously the iconic OG, I could see why you would think that.
But even if that is the case, it's just that's after years and years of constant encounters with Spider-Man.
Right. That's a valid point. It's a valid point.
That this is our first introduction to Kraven.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they also did the same thing with Morbius. I get Morbius does have this kind of anti-hero thing going on, but
so I think the reason they're doing this, and it's not a good reason. I think the reason they're doing this is because they're making these movies without Spider-Man, and they're trying to sell these characters as the protagonist, and we don't really get villain movies. So audiences aren't used to villain movies, and I think it's their way of kind of watering it down from a villain to an anti-hero as a way of selling us, the viewer, at these characters as a protagonist.
Because that's a great way of thinking about things. And I'm not going to say this to juxtapose you, but more so to juxtapose the studio, because that's a fair point. You're obviously talking from the perspective of the studio, not necessarily yourself.
Right. It's not what I would want. I think that's their perspective.
Yeah, but I think to juxtapose that, it's just that could be a great pull to get people into the movies. Wow, look, a villain movie. Nobody's ever done that before.
Right, but it's not really a villain movie. It's an anti-hero movie. Listen, I loved the Venom, the first one, the second one, but I think that with Sony, they've made a lot of good Spider-Man movies, and I think people forget that when talking about the villain spin-off verse or whatever you want to call it, and
the SUMC.
The SUMC. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a crime. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna go see Kraven. I thought the trailer actually looked pretty good. I didn't watch it in full and pay attention to everything because I had a lot of things going on. But I think it's a crime because I think that creating these villain movies is doing a disservice to Spider-Man as a whole. Are they gonna make Kevin Feige less likely to? I think they're going to use Venom based on the post credits, but are we less likely to see Kraven? Are we less likely to see? We're definitely not seeing Morbius because people hated that movie, and they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep wasting villains if that's how Kevin Feige sees it. And for what? These movies aren't even doing that well. it's just it's a shame, and that's why you need someone like James Gunn who cares about the integrity of the characters and their stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the sad thing. It's like these villains is like separated from Spider-Man. It's so disrespectful in my opinion, especially when it comes to Venom. I can't tell you how pissed off I was when they first announced it. Venom by himself. Like it made no sense to me. I'm like, bro, that storyline between Peter and Eddie Brock, Spider-Man, Venom, like that's some of the best stories.
The
like,
David Michelini.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. It's like those are some great stories. And I think when they screw up Spider-Man 3, it's like, okay, now I'm waiting for you guys to actually do it right. And so like it that pissed me off to no end when I saw it.
Yeah, and then they teased us by putting Eddie Brock in the MCU, and the fans are like getting excited, and now it's weird. It's weird. It's weird how they're going to freaking do things. But I think that at the end of the day, Sony has like they're just idiotic with this stuff. And then I mean, there's even this Madam Web movie that's coming out that's going to be connected. Apparently, what is going to happen is Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to basically catapult this Madam Web movie that's coming out, and they're trying to build this whole stuff with that. So it's just Sony needs to sell them rights, man. No, there's no other way around it, bro. Sony needs to sell them rights over, bro.
No, I don't agree that far because like I said, I think they've done a great job with the Spider-Man movies. You know, they're responsible for the Home trilogy. They're responsible for Sam Raimi trilogy. They're responsible for TASM 1 and 2. You know, I think
Kevin Feige does all the writing.
Yeah, but they still do a lot. I mean, and
like what? Like what? I mean, do you not remember the original deal that Sony had was that Marvel made the movie, but Sony made all of the money. That's how we almost lost Spider-Man in the MCU because of that very fact. And then they had to work out a deal where Disney's making or where Marvel Studios is making some profit. You know, like the wild thing that is happening is that Sony and for some reason Venom made $506 million, which Venom 2 made $506 million. Venom 1 made $800 million. It just sends me how these movies are going to be successful. Morbius failed, and Craven is going to be even worse. Craven's going to be so like it's going to be Shazam. Like, bro, I don't think people understand. Shazam made $30 million in the opening weekend. Do you know how bad that is to make $30 million in an opening weekend?
I know.
So, you know, this movie's going to flop. Aaron Taylor's career is going to suffer because of this as well. He might not even get the James Bond role because of this trash film. So, you know, it happens. But I mean, the trailer itself was just mid, in my opinion. You know, the lion's blood dripping in him, and now he can communicate with animals. Jungle Aquaman. That's what I call him. He has long hair. You know, there's nothing really special, but they're probably going to put Morbius or Eddie Brock in this film to try to connect the SUMC, and yeah.
And by the way, Madam Web is a really dope character. Like it's crazy to me because like, you know, she's a lesser known character that they totally could have used within the MCU because she like has her powers have a good theatrical effect, I feel like. You know,
bro, the only reason I would see that is because Sydney Sweeney is in it. Being honest,
but she has like I think she could see into the future, and like it's actually really cool. I've actually really enjoyed some comics with her, and usually like
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and usually like when there's like a character that I don't really know of, I'm kind of like, oh, like this is gonna be whack. And when she was involved, I forget in what, but I was like, damn, she's actually pretty dope. That movie might actually be cool. So hold
on, bro. So the leak is for the Madam Web movie is that it's basically going to be about a bunch of Marvel villains trying to go back and kill Peter Parker when he was a baby. And that's how she's gonna try to stop him from killing baby Peter Parker.
That sounds like an embarrassing story, like a disaster waiting to happen, bro. Like
Sydney Sweeney should have waited to get a real character in the MCU or the DCU because
they probably paid her the bag though. They probably paid her the bag. That's why, bro. They be paying actors stupid money.
That's a dumb choice. I don't care how much they're paying, because being a legit character in the DCU or MCU is worth way more in the long run than a couple extra mil up front. It's so dumb.
Yep.
Like, some people just don't know how to make like choices. It's unbelievable.
I agree, bro. All right, so next topic, guys. I want to hear you guys' opinion. So basically, So there was a rumor that came out today that Cassie Lang and Cassie Lang and Kate Bishop are going to be in King Dynasty. Okay, and so this was also connected to another rumor that I came across earlier, was that apparently Kate Bishop is going to be. All right, first off, how do y'all feel about this Captain Marvel movie that's coming out that we kind of forget about, and then
it's going to flop
when we see one photo on Instagram?
It's going to
bad.
Flop. It's going to flop.
It's bad that no one's talking about it.
It's going to flop. I personally will not be seeing that in theaters. I'm gonna just let everybody else go ahead and see it, because it's like, to me, that the first one already wasn't that great to me. Like, that was just a meh movie to me, and so I just like Carol Danvers, like, and Brie Larson. This just like that doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me, So I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna flop. I don't see it succeeding.
I hope it does well. I always hope Marvel movies do well, except for Love and Thunder.
Lord Jesus, that was a terrible one.
I thought that was important to send the message that this Taika bullshit is not accepted. But
you hate Taika Waititi, bro.
I hate him with a passion, and I am passionate. But I do think I think it's a problem for Marvel that no one's talking about this movie, because right now everyone has been talking about how the quality in the MCU has been going down for some time. They finally get a massive hit on their hands with Guardians Volume 3. And people, like, it's not holding over into the next project for them. People aren't talking about Secret Invasion. It looks amazing. People aren't talking about Captain Marvel. We don't even know if it looks good or if it doesn't, And the other thing about Captain Marvel that's a bad thing for Marvel too is people aren't talking about it, and Miss Marvel's in it, and they invested a ton into her, putting this new actress who is amazing onto Disney Plus. We all know how much they care about Disney Plus and how they invested into it, and you would think that would be the payoff would be in Captain Marvel, but no one's talking about it. And the fact is, Secret Invasion looks amazing. Like, I think that's going to be a banger. It's one of my favorite Marvel stories. I'm sure it's going to be entirely different. It has to be different in a 6-episode series. But what gives? I mean, what's it going to take, and when will Marvel's glory return? What do you guys think? Let me know.
So actually, on your point about Secret Invasion, because that is a phenomenal storyline. I agree with you there 100%. I just feel
Respect.
like I feel like they kind of already are off to a rough start, in my opinion, because with Captain Marvel, how they interpreted the scrolls was just so poorly done, in my opinion, that it's like we're coming back to Secret Invasion, and now they were supposed to do this storyline. Like, I don't buy into that because of how they portrayed them in Captain Marvel.
They made the scrolls good guys, like, and what in the world, bro?
Like,
and they made them look weak. Like, they literally made them look like scoundrels out here, bro. And they're not like that in the comics.
Yep, my point exactly. So yeah.
I don't particularly mind the scroll change. I get why they did it, just because I feel like the first Miss Marvel movie needed some form of shock factor, because legitimately speaking, what exactly can you really do with a Miss Marvel movie other than just be a social justice, movie?
Well,
Which
she
nobody's
did
fan of,
that
by the
anyway.
way.
So listen, I cannot stand that kind of stuff, but I will say Miss Marvel wasn't really a social justice.
That show was amazing.
And I wasn't saying it was.
Great.
I'm just saying, like, beyond any shock value that you can add to the movie, what other purpose would the movie have? So,
and you know it's going to be like that because of Brie Larson. I mean, she's probably the most of that of anyone in the MCU.
Yeah, it still hits me how that movie finessed $1 billion. That still gets me.
Yeah, that one was weird.
Maybe she was just riding the Endgame hype. Brendan,
I don't think that movie made $1 billion because it was great, which I did like it. I don't think it made the movie because of Endgame hype. I think it made the movie because it came out in a time where that kind of social justice thing was hot as hell.
Also, why does Brendan look like freaking Clark Kent? Right now. Sorry. Anyways, but yeah, dude.
In regards to the new Miss Marvel movie coming out, I am
the Marvels
about it. Oh, sorry, the Marvels. I'm optimistic about it. I like Iman Vellani. I think she's great.
I love Monica Rambeau.
I'm just praying to the comic book lords above that it doesn't turn into a social justice movie, because that would just ruin everything.
100%.
I hope that they build on her character. I think Miss Marvel started off really, really strong in the first 3 episodes, and then kind of just went in the gutter right afterwards. So I hope they build on her character a lot more. I hope they go into the whole what do they call it? What's like the Young Avengers thing that she forms?
That's DC.
Children's Crusade.
No.
I think it's called the Young Avengers.
No. It's with Miles Morales and Nova.
Oh yeah, they were in the they were actually. I was just watching the animated Avengers, and they literally were in the I can't think of the name though, but it was her. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
I think if she does a team with like that, I do want them to bring like a little like teenage kid Vision. I think that'd be fun. Like where Vision comes back and he has a whole family with him, and that whole deal.
Are you talking? You're not talking about the West Coast Avengers, right?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Not the Ultimates or the Champions.
The Champions. There you go. Not a lot of people are a fan of those comics, but I was actually
all ChatGPT, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, I hope it trails into something like that. But if it doesn't, it's fine. I'm gonna watch the first episode, and I think or not that first. I'll watch like
the movie.
I'll watch the movie, and then we'll see. I have low expectations but high hopes.
Yeah. I'll be honest, bro. Like when Monica Rambeau was in WandaVision, I fell in love with Monica Rambeau as a character. I even liked her mom in Captain Marvel 1. I thought she was super dope. And who? Monica Rambeau? The mom?
No, but she added emotional value.
No. She was dope. No. She was actually dope in the movie. I just loved her relationship with like Carol. Their friendship to me was like kind of dope. But anyways, but like I've always been a Photon fan, like since I was a kid. Like my mom was a big Photon fan, so she has a bunch of like vintage Photon comics at home.
That's dope.
Yeah, super cool. I've tried to sell them, she won't allow me to. But anyways, so the thing is this: I think that for the Marvels to work, Carol Danvers has to take a back seat in this film, and I think that Miss Marvel is going to eat up the whole entire film. That's what the trailer looks like. And Monica Rambeau doesn't really come off to me as like a character to eat up the movie, just because the actress just doesn't. She seems really laid back, and even in WandaVision, like to me, she captured the screen without trying. And to me, like the type of actress that Brie Larson is, Brie Larson is like the Vin Diesel of Marvel. Like she's literally the same. Like if you have watched Brie Larson in Captain Marvel 1 into like Avengers Endgame, she's literally there's no change in her character whatsoever. It's just the same person. And I think it's going to be the same thing in the Marvels. I think she's going to be a little more jokey, but like, as I said, man, I think that she's going to have to take the back seat. And I think Miss Marvel is going to freaking shine so hard in this movie. And the ending, I think the end of this movie is what is going to have fans hooked. And some of the rumors, if are y'all finding here rumors, like they might not be true, it might be changed because Marvel's getting delayed. But the rumor about the ending is that Monica Rambeau is going to end up being on Earth 838 at the end of this movie with her mom. And basically, this is going to be prepping us for the King Dynasty, which is going to be a war between the 838 universe and our 616, because basically the whole Illuminati is dead, and apparently, like, Monica Rambeau is probably going to find out that her mother died to the Scarlet Witch, and basically the Avengers on Earth 838 are going to basically give the smoke to the 616, or not to the 616. We are not in the 616, but to the MCU universe. So, as I said, I think that there's potential for what it can lead to. It just has to be set up the right way. And the villain in this movie also seems very underwhelming. Is she the daughter of Ronan?
Who's the villain?
It's a girl, but she had Ronan's hammer thing.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's his daughter, but it's another accuser. I'm pretty sure.
Like, bro, a random villain, bro.
Yeah.
I said they swapped the gender for this villain. Apparently, like it's supposed to originally be a dude, but yeah, they swapped it.
I'm starting to believe that villains matter less and less and less in these movies, because of how much they're trying to pack in with all these different characters and stuff like that. I feel like the villain is and should be less of a priority because of how much how much character work needs to be done.
They're not capable of making a project nowadays without introducing a new female character. It's like unbelievable. It's crazy. So of course that there was a trifecta coming along somewhere, but I do think that what's interesting is that they're going to go to a universe that the Illuminati is already dead, because I mentioned this to Stevie the other day. I think that an MCU universe Illuminati is inevitable, and I think it's inevitable because if we are heading into Secret Wars, a big storyline, shout out Jonathan Hickman, who, by the way, is returning to Marvel. He has an Ultimates series called Ultimates Evasion coming out tomorrow. Super hype. If you read comics, you already know the biz.
Already ordered. Sorry.
Banging. So I emailed my shop today. But here's the thing. And I've spoken about this many times, but if you haven't heard, I'll run it through you real quick. So, leading into that Secret Wars storyline, the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, Tony Stark, spoiler warning, Tony Stark forms the Illuminati behind Captain America's back. On that Illuminati, you have Tony Stark, Iron Man, Black Bolt, Namor, T'Challa, Black Panther, Reed Richards, and there's one more. I'm blanking. Oh, Doctor Strange. So, and their mission was to research and figure out how to protect their Earth from incursions. Secret Wars is born. That storyline is born out of incursions. So I don't think that, and I think if they're going to introduce a dead Illuminati via Photon in the 838 universe, I think that's their way of introducing the Illuminati to the MCU's audience, like us, the viewers. Well, not us because we read comics, but the regular guys that don't read comics but watch all the Marvel stuff. And then I think that movie is going to leave people thinking about, well, doesn't our universe have an Illuminati? And I think we're going to see an Illuminati be formed. And I have to guess that Illuminati will, be at least split 50-50 amongst gender. So, it could be Captain Marvel, Photon, Miss Marvel who are on it, and they learn about it through Photon. I don't know. But I think it's interesting that the Illuminati is going to be introduced based on the ending of that movie and what's to come of it. So I do think those characters might have something to do with the Illuminati, but I really want to come up with a full theory for it because it's interesting. The Illuminati is dope. Any Marvel Illuminati story is banging. If you're interested in it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I gotta hop off, y'all, but it was good chopping it up with you guys.
All right, brother. Peace out.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Peace out.
Peace.
But yeah, man. So as I said, like with Kate and Cassie Lang coming in the Marvels, as I said, I mean, it's cool. I'm not really tripping about it. We'll just see what happens. Like, I love Kate. I actually love the Hawkeye show. By the
Me
way,
too. Me
I
too.
really like that show.
I think both of them are great.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really like Cassie Lang in it.
I don't like
to be
Cassie
honest. Yeah, me either.
I
didn't
did.
like her.
I liked her.
She was pretty annoying. Plus, where were her wings? And that just drives me crazy. There were no wings on her, but maybe she'll get them in the next time we see her. But yeah, man, I love Kate Haley Steinfeld. I can watch her all day long, man. So hey, man, I hope that we see more and more of her. Jeremy Renner already talked about saying that he's ready to come back as Hawkeye. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go for this Hawkeye season 2. And okay, so I want to talk about this Deadpool 3 stuff, and then we can talk about Jensen Ackles Batman, and then we're done here. Okay, so apparently there are going to be multiple variants of Wolverine in Deadpool 3. Another thing that I can attach to that is that apparently a different version of Hawkeye is going to be in Deadpool as well. That I heard. Obviously they've already heard our opinions on Deadpool 3. Brendan, I know you're a big Deadpool fan. Darren, I know you love Deadpool. Darren, how do you feel about that Deadpool 3? Are you like excited about it?
I have been saying this before even Deadpool 3 was announced.
Oh god.
This story better be Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. I think
Fox
this
universe?
is the perfect opportunity to bring this storyline in. I also think it's a perfect way to bring the X-Men in nonchalantly. I think Kevin Feige's had a really hard time trying to find a way to bring mutants into the MCU. I know they sprinkled it in through a couple of their different series, but it's kind of hard to believe that mutants would pop up out of nowhere, really. I wholeheartedly believe that mutants have existed throughout this entire time. And this is the absolute slam dunk way of doing it. And audiences are going to love it. You just have Ryan Reynolds just, killing everybody in the Marvel universe and eventually showing up in Kevin Feige's doorstep and then, chopping it up with him. That'd be amazing. Audiences would love it. And it's fan service in a way that I think services the story. It's straight up there in the comic book.
So you're
right?
saying that like it's more of him killing the Fox universe?
That too. And it's a really cool way of doing things and having him transition into the actual MCU. They can be very blunt about it. They can be very coy about it and just have overall a good time. I think it's something that could really, give audiences just a fun time at the movie theater, not take something super seriously, but still have serious repercussions for the rest of the MCU.
Yeah. Brendan, bro, how do you feel about it? I know you're a Deadpool fan. Are you on COD?
Yeah. But it's funny you mention that because that's the same exact thing I've been thinking about to point to that comic book. I think we talked about it one day. We were sitting at dinner table at Mike's house and we were talking about it at one point way back about the whole entire conspiracy theory with Deadpool. Because so you did bring it up back then before Deadpool 3. So I can definitely you definitely have that there. But I'm definitely excited when it comes to that whole opportunity. Hopefully it actually does happen where he does kill the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, why do you guys want the Marvel Universe to die?
Doesn't have to be the MCU.
I want him to kill the Fox.
Could be the Fox.
I want him to kill the Fox.
Fair.
Or the Sony universe. I'm cool with either one.
The Sony universe, the villain.
Yeah, kill them all, man. And bro, while he's at it, he can kill the freaking Arrowverse too. While he's at it, bro, just kill them all, man. And the DCEU to take them all out. But yeah, man, I'm really excited for Deadpool 3, man, and like the whole idea of the TVA going to the 2000s, and we're going to like get a whole memory of just the original X-Men, and Deadpool's going to kill them all. I hope that happens and I hope that because obviously we know that the original X-Men are coming back. I pray to God, and I'm more than sure that we're going to see them in actual comic accurate suits. That's going to be the one thing, because I'm a costume guy. So I'm really excited to see like a comic book accurate Storm and those type of people. Okay, so the last thing of the night is Jensen Ackles is Batman. Okay, so if you don't know, now you know. Jensen Ackles is voicing Batman in the animated movies right now, and he has a pretty dope Batman voice. I don't know if you guys know, but there was a big there was a movie called Justice. I think it was Justice League Doom or the one of those. But basically, Darkseid basically killed the whole entire Justice League, or he basically like destroyed them all. The Flash reset the DC universe again for no apparent reason, and we are introduced into this new DC universe. A Supergirl movie just came out. I'm not sure if you guys know, but there was an animated Green Lantern movie introducing Jon Stewart, which is also awesome. James Gunn has been involved in all of these, and he's going to be using this animated.
Beware My Power was good.
What were you talking about?
I thought you just said the Jon Stewart Green Lantern animated movie was good.
Yeah, the one that just came out like 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
I gotta watch it. Watch it.
Now there's something that I do hate because they made Hal Jordan the villain, which I thought was super whack. But
they've done that multiple times in the comics.
Yes, but I get it because they're making Jon Stewart the guy, so I get it. But the way they made him the villain, it totally makes sense. But then I just got done watching Supergirl weeks ago. I love that animated film as well, and I like Superman going back to the like old original suit, all that stuff. Batman. Did you guys watch the Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2?
Hell yeah,
those animated movies were fire. Jensen Ackles voiced all those. So Jensen Ackles basically expressed that he wants to be Batman. And me personally, I've been saying for months that I want Jensen Ackles to play Batman because we are going to need a older Batman than Pattinson because we are getting introduced to Damian Wayne in this Batman Brave and the Bold movie. And I think Jensen Ackles will be the perfect guy. He has the voice. He's not too old. He's still fit. He can still move. I think that's a guy that you could build around. Do you guys have any casting ideas for this new Batman?
Yeah. I want the kid who played Ashtray in Euphoria to play Damian Wayne. He looks the part.
I didn't watch Euphoria.
But great. I'm going to look up the kid's name right now. Hold on.
Darren, do you have anyone for any castings of Batman, Robin, or Nightwing?
I want Tom Holland to play Batman. No, I'm just joking.
This is him, by the way.
Oh, that kid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he died right in the end? Or he died at like the end of the season?
Yeah, big spoiler, but yeah.
Cool.
I don't really particularly care who plays Batman. I'm more interested in who's going to be playing the Damian Wayne character. I have yet to find an actor that I think that could really do that well. Because the problem with Damian Wayne is that you have to balance being like a bratty kid, but also somebody you can root for. That was a big problem with Damian Wayne when he first came out into the comics. I, for one, was a fan of him when he first appeared, unlike a lot of people. But that's something that's really, really hard to balance as an actor, is having that
fair point
side of Damian of saying like, oh, I think I'm better than you. I've been trained to be an assassin, yada, yada, yada. But then also be kind of endearing and have the audience root for him as well.
Right,
right. That makes sense.
Definitely.
Honestly, bro, that Son of Batman animated movie saved Damian Wayne as a character. Like, I don't think that Damian Wayne was, because I hated Damian Wayne when he first came on in comics, and then when I watched Son of Batman, he's one of my favorite Robins, like ever. You know, so
yeah.
And it is gonna be hard to find a kid that can act that well. So you know, I have my thoughts, but I would love Jacob Elordi to play Nightwing.
That's a good call. I originally wanted him to be Batman, but I think he would make for a great Nightwing. You know, he would be great for a lot of roles. That kid could act.
I agree. And
he has a versatile look.
Exactly. So as I said, man, I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with this new Batman franchise. The only thing that I'm going to say is I think Brave and the Bold is going to be so good that no one's going to care about Pattinson's Batman anymore, because this Batman is going to be building so much with the Bat family, and we're going to be getting Barbara Gordon down the line. Batman is going to smash it all. We're going to see that. I'm kidding. But we are going to be getting the extended Bat family, and then when you go to Pattinson and they're like kind of not building anything there, it's like how am I going to give a crap about what they're doing here versus we're getting like the family, like Batman. It's like it's going to be hard to see what they're going to do there.
I think for me, I'm going to be interested in both. I really love the Batman. And listen, we're going to be getting that much more Batman. Batman's the GOAT. He's like the greatest superhero ever. And how could you not want more Batman?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. The one thing that I do wish that we do get in this new Batman is I've always been a fan of the more stoic Batman. where he's kind of just like he's a tier above everybody else, you know, where everybody kind of just looks at him like, oh yeah, that's freaking Batman.
Yeah, he's him.
Where he's feared not necessarily because he's instilling fear or like having to like intimidate anybody on purpose, but it's just that aura that radiates that he's Batman, you know?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I wasn't a fan of with the whole Pattinson Batman. It's just like he felt more Red Hood to me than Batman.
I don't know. I just
So I see
That's
your point, bro, but I do think that was on purpose. I do think that is a part of the arc because I believe that the whole point of the first movie was to show that his tactic was fear. His tactic was being this aggressive child, you know, and by the end of the movie, we see that Batman finally understands that I can't make change by being this aggressive, angry douchebag. I have to actually like try to understand the people. I have to actually try to help the people. So I do think that we are going to see a really big change in Batman's attitude and in just Batman as a character in this next movie. I think that a lot of people downplay how beginner Matt Reeves showed this Batman, and from Matt Reeves like interviews, he basically said like we're going to be getting like almost a brand new character in like Batman 2 because he's going to have so much more experience. So I am very excited to see like the growth that Pattinson is going to get, you know, like with the new hair and all this stuff. He's really not going to be gothic Batman in this next one. So I'm kind of excited to see what he does there.
I agree.
So, but all right, guys, I'm going to end it here. We're almost at an hour 30. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you know when we post. The audio we will be posted up tomorrow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. You know, follow my boy Darren, follow Brendan. You know, they're on Instagram. If you got smoke with them, bring it to them. I'm going to be posting clips from what Darren said because that's obviously going to get buzz about him hitting live action, and then I'm actually going to have to defend his point on TikTok, which sucks. But anyways, but thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. Peace out.